We are in the Adept studio and I'm speaking with Nigel Turner, a principal consultant at Global Data Strategy, and we'll be discussing the workshop Data Strategy for Becoming Data-Driven. Nigel, could you briefly explain the overall goal of this workshop?
Hi, Vernie. Yeah, good day. The goal of the data strategy workshop is really very simple. It's to enable anybody that comes along to the workshop to be able, at the end of the workshop, to develop at least a first cut data strategy for their own organization. And it's designed to for people who maybe have never tried to produce a data strategy before, and it takes them from first principles through to producing, at the end of the workshop, a realistic plan of action.
Okay, and it's a full day workshop, so you cover a lot of topics probably. Can you briefly walk us through the ones that you'll be covering this day?
Yeah, sure. I mean, basically, the workshop consists of four main sections, which are the four sections producing a data strategy. The first is to identify the business goals and the business drivers for improved data. So the first part of the workshop very much focuses on how do you identify the business goals of your organization, some of its key priorities, and also at the same time, what some of the data issues and barriers are that may be preventing the organization achieving its business goals and priorities. The second stage then is to look at what's its current data management capabilities. And then in parallel with that, in stage three, is to then look at what new or enhanced capabilities will it need. So when you're looking at these two stages, what I do in sort of parallel is first of all show techniques for analyzing the current state of data management within the organization. So as I mentioned, what are its current business goals and objectives, and what are the current data strengths and weaknesses which may support or prevent the organization achieving its goals. So that's very much looking at the current state, but then allied to that is looking at the future requirement. So what does the business aspire to become in the future that it isn't today? And therefore, what implications does that have for new data requirements? And then what new data capabilities would be needed to support this? So then we go through a series of techniques and of identifying the current state and the future state. And then once you've identified the future state, the key thing then is to think about prioritization. So there's a lot of things that you could be doing in a data strategy, but what are the key things to focus on? And the final stage is all about producing a plan or a roadmap, as we call it, for actually delivering a data strategy for the organization.
Okay, and what's the style of the workshop? Is it seminar style, or do you have exercises and stuff?
Yeah, it's very much hands-on. I mean, obviously I teach, pretty basically the four key stages. But then I'm a great believer that if you're really going to learn something effectively, you don't sit and listen, you actually sit and try to do it. So key aspect of the workshop is that I developed a case study for an organization that everybody will be familiar with, a hotel group, and actually get the attendees of the course to practice some of the techniques that we talk about and apply it to that hotel group. And at the end of that, the hotel group has a rudimentary data strategy. So when people then leave the workshop and they go back to their own organizations, they've tried it out before they tried out their own organization.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, and what are the job titles that you typically see attending your workshop? So who is it intended for?
Well, I think it's quite a wide range of people, really. I mean, the most obvious people, I guess, is if you're somebody like chief data officers or people who are heads of data governance and that sort of thing. Anybody really tasked within their organization of being involved in or leading the development of a data strategy. But it's also of interest, I think, to anybody that wants to think more strategically about how the data capabilities of an organization should be developed. I think one of the strengths of the approach that I take to the development of a data strategy, you can apply to a whole organization. But if, for example, you've only got responsibility for one part of the organization, say customer data, you could apply exactly the same techniques to develop a customer data strategy or a product data strategy. So it can apply to almost anybody involved in anything strategic, like business analysts or data architects, or of course, data IT consultants.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Nigel.
It's a pleasure.